right, Rob.
Yeah.
As I was saying yesterday, Poincaré stated that every simply connected compact three-manifold is homeomorphic to the three-sphere S sub 3. Now, this has never been proved nor disproved. What's the matter, Rob?
Professor Webster, did you ever realize how funny that can sound?
Funny?
Yeah. Every simply connected compact three-manifold is homeomorphic to the three-sphere S sub 3.
You think these last 2 months have been all that funny?
Yes, I do. And this is even funnier.
C plus.
C plus. And that's my midterm.
You're not a C student.
You keep saying that, Professor Webster.
Economics is the only subject you've had difficulty with. You've never fallen below a B.
Until I ran into Dr. Cook.
Dr. Cook is not going to stand in the way of your fellowship.
Prejudiced?
This is not C work. And I'm not going to stand by and see Robert Ramsey's chance for the Wainwright jeopardized by Dr. Cook's bigotry.
It's a very grave charge, Amelia.
That's the one I'm making.
Yes.
Dr. Cook is here, sir.
Would you ask him to come in, please? I presume you know each other.
We've met.
Would either of you like to sit down?
I think I can say what I have to say briefly and on my feet.
Well, we seem to have a small controversy here between you regarding a student named Robert Ramsey. You, Dr. Cook, I gather, do not consider him qualified for the Wainwright.
I do not.
As Ramsey's advisor, I know him to be a hard-working student. He turned down an athletic scholarship in order to apply for the Wainwright.
Perhaps he was ill-advised to do that.
Would you prefer that he play football, Dr. Cook?
If that's what he does best, yes.
I'm afraid I have a different concept of what Channing should provide as promising students.
Precisely what does Ramsey promise? He's just an average student. He lacks imagination, independent judgment, and anything remotely resembling scholarly discipline.
I happen to know that boy overcame some incredible environmental handicaps.
Aren't we confusing social work among the underprivileged with our academic functions?
There's one thing I'm not confusing, Dr. Cook. Your bias for scholastic objectivity.
Now, Amelia, there's no need to get into a tizzy. As a member of the Wainwright Fellowship Committee, Dr. Cook has a perfect right to express his dissent.
As the committee has to be unanimous, his dissent amounts to a rejection.
Well, I don't suppose there's any point in warning you that once Amelia makes up her mind about something, she's about as immovable as Joshua Channing's pedestal.
She's driving that boy beyond his limits.
Are the limits to a boy's potential?
He's not a prize pupil of economics.
Tell me, Have you ever asked yourself whether you might be subconsciously applying a more severe set of standards to Ramsey than your other students?
To me, Ramsey is just another student.
Well, you've been with us now, how long is it? 6 months?
Not quite a full semester.
How do you like Channing?
I'm here.
Well, now, I didn't mean the way the leaves change in the autumn to the size of the library. I mean us. The faculty, the students.
From my survey of the school, you have a gifted faculty and a high academic standard.
I happen to know you turned down a very important job with the Commerce Department in Washington.
Are you sorry I'm on the Channing staff?
You do us honor, Dr. Cook, as a distinguished author and scholar. It may not surprise you to learn you are the first candidate in the history of Channing to be offered an associate professorship without having had prior teaching experience.
Dean Baker, you didn't delay me to tell me this.
To tell you that you're brilliant? No, I did not. That, I think, is an incontestable fact to which we are both privy.
Then?
College administrators have a nasty habit of intruding, Dr. Cook. We believe in privacy, but we distrust it. It's a Midwestern trait, which is my clumsy way of saying we would like to get to know you better. The Jacksons are throwing their annual winter carnival.
Not much of a mixer.
But you are a celebrity.
Because of my book or because of this dust jacket I affect?
Perhaps both. Do you mind if we treat you as a celebrity?
I'm not used to it.
Neither are we. Would you come?
Of course I will.
Peter! Well, how good of you to come. Come in. Good to see you. Let me give you a hand with that. I'll,
Hope I'm not late.
No, not at all. I have to be happy you're here. You've snubbed us twice already. Let me see, I had a wife here. Oh, here she is. Lydia. Lydia, this is Peter Cook. I haven't told you very much about him. He's too notorious.
Reed tells me you're the new young Turk in the economics department.
Am I?
Yes, you know, Peter, I've long felt that what we needed was a blood transfusion of new ideas. I've been fighting the head of the department for almost 2 years. You know that old man Brown still thinks that Adam Smith is a radical thinker?
Reed, why don't you see about getting Dr. Cook something to drink?
Yes, of course. Right here.
What do you think of it?
Who?
What do you mean, who? You've been staring at him ever since he got here.
The last thing Channing needed was a brilliant scholar. In my day, they hired teachers.
I heard we traded him for 2 tackles and a professor of anthropology.
Now, Joe, just because you escorted me to this clam bake doesn't mean that you have to flutter around me like a mother hen. Go on, mingle with the natives.
What'll it be, Peter?
Scotch and water, please. No ice.
A little scotch and soda for me, Frank.
Yes, sir.
How's the supply holding out?
They are murdering the bourbon.
Bourbon? Well, probably got a couple more bottles in the cellar. Excuse me, Peter. I'll be right back.
No ice.
Got a little footnote for you, baby. If I don't get something published pronto, you can kiss Channing goodbye.
So what do you want me to do?
You could be friendly with him.
How many times do they pass you over before they bury you in the college archives?
Get off, Lydia. You like this quaint old college town, don't you? You like playing hostess with the mostest, don't you?
One has such a feeling of guilt. But individual action is so meaningless. Now, you take equality.
All right. I'll take equality.
I understand your feelings. Really, I do. That's all. We're all victims, aren't we?
Well, Lydia certainly knows how to lay out a spread, doesn't she?
Are there many of them?
Many. Lydia has the quaint impression she can float Reed into the chairmanship of the department on a tidal wave of champagne and hors d'oeuvres.
How's she doing?
He isn't even in the running, but their booze is so good, no one has the heart to tell her. Not even Reed.
Well, gentlemen, I think I spy an opening at the buffet. Maybe we can establish a foothold before the second wave hits the beach, hmm?
You two go ahead. I'm on a liquid diet.
Oh, bless.
Right.
We're glad to have you aboard, Pete.
Thanks.
Channing may seem a little stodgy at first, but take it from me, there are some of us here who know the score.
Exactly what score are you talking about, Dr. Gray?
A struggle for dignity. Dialectical tensions. I'm running a special seminar on the integration crisis in a couple of weeks for all my freshman poli-sci classes. Mind, sitting in?
In what capacity?
General consultant. It'd be darn useful for some of these youngsters to meet a person who knows the problems from the inside.
I don't put on exhibitions, Gray. Make me a stiff one, will you?
Having fun?
You want to talk spook or mix me a drink?
There you are, Dr. Cook. I lost you for a moment in this crowd of fawning admirers.
Lost? I find that hard to do, Mrs. Jackson.
You're right. Your celebrated brilliance hangs over you like a halo.
I wasn't thinking of that exactly.
Maybe you think too much, Dr. Cook. Are you enjoying yourself?
You know, you're the third person this evening who's asked me that. I'm beginning to think I look painfully uncomfortable.
Well, I have to be concerned, Dr. Cook. I shouldn't want the responsibility of messing up your, social debut at Channing.
Oh, is this my debut?
Well, isn't it?
Well, yes, I suppose I have been a recluse. And I must thank you for asking me. But, would you mind telling me why you did?
Well, I should think that would be rather obvious, Dr. Cook.
Obvious? Yes, I admit I add a certain color to an affair like this. I've always envied the rich the luxury of being able to mingle with people they dislike. They invite the talented because they're genuinely mystified by talent. And they invite the untouchables because it gives them a chance to put their nobility to the test. But I'm still bewildered by your motive, Mrs. Jackson.
You're right, Dr. Cook. We're neither rich nor noble.
And I'm not exactly your dish of grits, am I?
I have to say one thing for you, Mr. Professor. You come right out, say what you think, don't you?
You forgot to thank me, ma'am,
Thank you.
for letting you off the hook. Weren't you about to ask me to perform the Watusi War Stomp? What are you waiting for? To pick up the pieces? Come in.
Professor Cook.
Yes?
Sorry to barge in on you like this, sir, but I'd like to talk to you.
Student consultation hours are Thursdays.
I know, but this is very important, sir.
All right. What is it, Ramsey?
I thought maybe you might reconsider my grades on the basis of this. I did some research on Ricardo, and I came up with what I think are some interesting conclusions.
This wasn't assigned.
I know. I did it on my own.
Mr. Ramsey, grades in my course are based on examinations only. I don't assign term papers because I'm not interested in the sophomoric speculations of undergraduates. If by some miracle you score high on your final, you'll get your B. Do I make myself clear, Mr. Ramsey?
What have you got against me?
Nothing against you, nothing at all.
No. But I do bug you, don't I?
Why should you?
Because I'm going for the Wainwright, like I got no right to it.
Why should it matter to me whether you apply for a fellowship?
Because I'm not up there. I don't score high enough.
Look, Ramsey, I'm a little tired.
You tired? I'm tired. I'm tired. And I've got 2 beers in me to get up enough nerve to come up here and tell you.
All right, Ramsey. I'll give it to you right between the eyes. You are not good enough.
Professor Webster thinks so.
There's a candidate every season. And this season she picked you.
She believes in me.
She believes in you. This is the underdog season. There's a great big Orphean group just raring to root for you, and you're trading on your suntan.
They like me here. Color's got nothing to do with it. Nothing.
How did you get into Channing? On a real scholarship or playing athlete?
I gave up running track. I study hard, real hard.
You'll never make it, Ramsey.
Look at my record, Professor. I'm cadet colonel of the ROTC, president of the senior class, chairman of the student council,
all done with the aid of pigmentation. All right, so you won the popularity contest.
Popularity? With that in bus fare, I can set up a shoe shine stand in the loop. Look, Professor, I want to be somebody. Somebody like you, maybe. Someone our people can be proud of.
Our people can be proud of? When I was 11, my old man got cut down on the railway depot. He was trying to organize the Red Caps. See, he read a book somewhere, found a catchphrase, social justice. The only thing was that the Red Caps didn't believe in social justice. They didn't even know what it meant. You know what I learned from that? Don't push something people don't believe in.
And you don't believe in me.
Why should I?
When you first came here, I thought I had someone on my side.
Well, you're doing all right without my help.
Would it make any difference if I were white, Professor?
Have a long weekend.
Say, Amelia, Larry and I are taking in that Italian film tonight. Why don't you come with us?
Can't. My pediatrician tells me to lay off popcorn.
Economic perspective, polyhedral linkages. Well, it's better than curling up with these.
When I was a senior in college, Ruth, that was a good many years ago, I was voted the girl they liked best to dissect a frog with.
I still say you ought to go out more.
Spencerhood isn't a tragedy, Ruth. It's just a kind of requiem between great books. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Scotch and water, no ice.
Is it cool enough for you, sir?
What?
Is it cool enough for you?
Oh, yes. Thank you. Miss Webster? You mind if I join you?
Join.
That's the kindest remark I've heard all week. Look, about the other day, I know I expressed myself rather strongly about one of your favorite students.
Robert Ramsey isn't a favored student. He's just one I happen to think deserves some of the opportunities he's been denied.
I never knew a student who made more of denied opportunities.
Dr. Cook, when you get to be an old relic like me, you'll find out that a student needs encouragement. College is not an obstacle course, and a teacher is not a timekeeper.
Dr. Webster, these are off-duty hours. You mind if we declared a truce?
On one condition. That you don't call me Miss Webster, Miss Amelia, or your learned colleague.
Deal. I spent this whole week alienating about everybody I know on this campus. And I wouldn't want to alienate a reader.
Maybe you already have.
You don't like it?
I didn't say that. I just don't trust dissertations that read like novels.
It got good reviews, even Galbraith's.
Oh, you Ivy League eggnogs all stick together. It's like a club.
Do we have to talk about my book?
I tell you what. You don't knock Ramsey and I won't knock your book. Huh?
Can I buy you a drink on that?
It'll cost you. In some square corner of this quaint quadrangle, I am known affectionately as the campus crock.
You let me know when you're sloshed to the eyeballs. What are you drinking?
Bourbon on the rocks.
One bourbon on the rocks, one scotch and water. No, make that double scotch, no water.
Yes, sir.
How come a young whelp like you is not on the town?
What about yourself? Is this your idea of a wild Friday night?
Just because I look like one of Channing's Gothic ruins, don't come to any conclusions. Just so happens that I was out late last night with a tired cue stick.
You shoot pool?
Rotation, 8-ball, snooker, you name it. You're looking at Illinois Fats.
Well, what are we waiting for?
Seven in the corner pocket. As I told you, Junior, the angle of refraction equals the angle of incidence.
Yeah, I know.
It's just simple mathematics. You had enough?
Yes. Should have warned me. She was a hustler.
I thank you. I divide my classes into the engineers and the thinkers. The engineers like to putter, assemble things, make things work. They're obsessed with order. And the thinkers, they're a special breed. They're the doubters. They don't believe in anything, except that itch of curiosity they keep scratching at until it hurts. They're the creative destroyers. But, they're my favorites.
You give it everything, don't you? Don't you save anything for yourself?
For myself, I've wasted my youth trying to hoard it. It's taken me 20 years to grow young.
You know what I think?
What?
I think you love your work so much you're embarrassed to admit it.
You know what I think?
What?
I think you're drunk. Oh, and I think this is my apartment.
How can you tell?
Because I stumbled. I always stumble on that step. Huh. As you can see, this house was designed by a toteedler. A teetotaler.
You were right the first time.
Now, don't humor me, Junior. Because even though you can fool all the people, one at a time, you can't fool Amy Webster, drunk or sober.
Who said that?
Washington.
Georgia Booker T.
Good night, Peter Cook.
Good night, Amelia. Amelia?
What? Okay.
There's no reason why we can't shoot a game of pool once in a while, is there?
No? No, Peter. No reason at all. Good night.
Nice style, Peter. Like your style.
Thanks.
You know, maybe one time you and I can get off a game of doubles.
Yeah.
By the way, Peter, you got anything planned for the weekend?
Got a mountain of papers waiting for me at home.
Oh. Lydia and I are driving up to the cottage tonight. How about joining us?
I'm afraid your wife wouldn't...
Oh, wait a minute. If you're going to make reference to that minor fracas you had the other night, forget it. She was just a little tense, that's all. Now, we've got a very decent view of the lake up there, Pete, and it's quiet, very quiet.
I really should get at those papers.
Oh, forget the papers. Well, the truth is, I've been wanting to talk to you. You see, Peter, since about 1959, I've been doing a lot of statistical analysis on business mergers and consolidations. Now, I am convinced that...
Are you suggesting we work on a paper together?
Well, no, I've done most of the preliminary research. It's practically written.
Just requires a little polish, is that it?
Yes. Like I said, I've got most of it roughed in.
The answer's no.
No. There's an opportunity here for a theoretical breakthrough.
Theoretical breakthrough, the whole area is superficial.
What would it cost you? A couple of hours, maybe? Pete, I haven't had anything published in over 2 years.
Concentrate on teaching.
Teaching. I could combine the talents of Socrates and Bob Hope for all the good it would do me. It's no different here at Channing than anywhere else, and you know it. Publish or perish.
What did you think it was? Playing oracle to co-eds? A purient flirtation with half-baked ideas? Did it ever occur to you that you don't belong on a university campus?
I don't belong. And you do.
Am I early? It's pouring outside.
Oh, look at me.
Amy, you look like the Arch of Triumph.
Oh, I always look like the Arch of Triumph.
I walked around the block 3 times with this. I was a hazard to navigation. What do you want it?
Oh, anywhere on the mantle on my head. There. Who is going to drink all that beer?
Your clan. Aren't you going to have a party?
Yeah. Ruth and Larry Cunningham and Joe Howe. Weren't you going to bring a girl?
What'd I do with a girl?
They didn't teach you at Princeton. See what you can do with that fire. How'd you make out with that kitten you met last week?
Which one?
The Nubian temptress that I introduced you to at the bookstore.
2 incomplete passes.
Why don't you try the quarterback sneak?
She's a freedom rider. Her idea of a big weekend is to take a bus ride to the front and sing hymns.
Oh, what's wrong with that for openers?
When the band strikes up with We Shall Overcome, I don't want the girl I'm dating to turn to me and say, they're playing our song.
When are you going to join the human race?
Are you saying to me that I don't know where I belong?
I'll get the steaks.
I like your place.
What?
Quite a collection of mementos.
Well, it looks like a museum, doesn't it? It's the class of 51, the class of 53. This is a gift from one of my engineers.
You live right with them, don't you?
Who?
Your students.
Give them half a chance, they'll move right in on you.
Not me. To me, they're just a bunch of robots leaning over their notebooks. I don't even notice faces. Just things like cowlicks, hair ribbons, earlobes.
What are you afraid of?
Maybe you can help me.
Maybe you can let me.
This is you on the left, isn't it?
This is the group. Class of 47. Pretty formidable, no? I think we all thought we were going to take over the country. The first female triumvirate. My classmates settled for marriage.
You?
Well, when I was 22, I thought I was going to invent some elegant non-Euclidean geometry.
Well, the parallel lines never meet, huh?
And a hypotenuse is a girl's best friend. Excuse me. Hello? Oh. Oh, what's holding you up, Ruth? Oh, I'm sorry, too. Sure, next time. Bye. That was Ruth Cunningham. Their babysitter can't make it. It's raining like mad outside.
It's a real flood. So? Who else isn't coming?
Well, before you came, Joe Howe rang up and said that...
He couldn't get his car started.
That's right. How don't jump to conclusions.
Was I?
It's raining.
Yeah, it's a real disaster area.
You're a rotten logician.
All right, so I'm a rotten logician. When it rains, the streets get wet. And when the streets get wet, your friends are dropouts.
Oh, you're so right.
Which reminds me, as I came up the steps outside, I think I was observed.
So?
So, when was the last time some character delivered beer through your front door?
I have that kind of service.
I'll see you later, Amelia.
It's raining.
Know that, Amelia?
If you step out into that downpour, all that gorgeous blackness of yours that you're so proud of will wash right off, and you'll be just as colorless as the rest of us.
You're very funny, Amelia.
Very funny, very wise, and very hungry. How do you like your steaks?
Charred.
Excuse me.
Woo! Après-moi la déluge.
Come on in and meet one of the world's 2 great thinkers.
So you saw them walking down the street together. Big deal.
That doesn't bother you?
They probably were talking about college business.
At 11 o'clock on a Friday night?
Run, Ted.
Well, this is a surprise. Where have you been the last couple of weeks?
I've been around.
You've been skipping Dr. Cook's classes, haven't you?
What if I have? He couldn't care if I dropped dead.
Are you so secure about your Wainwright that you can take it this easy?
Who cares?
Dr. Cook is wrong about you, Rob. I know you can change his opinion if you just...
If I show him my collection of Willie Mays baseball cards?
Are you giving up just because he's applying a little pressure?
Things were a little different a few weeks ago, weren't they? What happened?
What happened? I still believe in you.
Tell it to Cook. He got to you, didn't he?
If you mean have I changed my judgment about you, you're wrong.
I'm not talking about the Wainwright. Think I care about that? Do you know what they're saying about you? It's all over the campus.
I think you better go, Rob. Before you say something you'll regret.
Professor Webster, I used to look up to you as somebody beautiful and great and noble. You're nothing but a silly old woman.
Rob.
Well? Don't you want to tell me what it is?
I don't know what you mean.
You haven't said a word all evening.
You haven't?
Nothing memorable. Aren't you a game of pool?
No, not tonight.
What's the matter, Amelia?
I don't think we should be seeing so much of each other.
Why don't we face it? As an experiment in communications, it didn't exactly amount to a major social breakthrough.
Oh, boy, have you got things figured out.
Is it supposed to be so complex? It's insanely simple. Just like in the movies. The white hats versus the black hats.
What's the next step? Burning you in effigy?
Well, that would be an honest reaction. Instead of all this instant friendliness, phony tact, and idle gossip.
I haven't heard any.
Topic of conversation is replaced the Berlin crisis.
Okay, you're an outcast. And I'm a pariah maniac for having associated with you.
Knock it off, Amelia.
Knock what off?
Just knock it off. Let me stew in my prejudices. I've got a right to sound off.
I think we are. Bunch of rednecks cooking.
Don't call me Cookie.
Why not? Am I not entitled to the same privileges as your phantom hate mongers? Quit spoiling for a fight. If you're looking for a cause célèbre, I have one for you. What are you going to do about Ramsey?
What am I supposed to do about it?
Support him for the Wainwright.
Even against my better judgment?
Maybe your judgment isn't good enough.
And yours is.
I've known this boy for 4 years. I know what he's capable of.
He's using you.
Well, can't you see that if he does use me, he needs help?
What are you running, a private clinic for the socially handicapped? Well, he got you fooled. He knows more about survival than you'll learn in 1,000 years. You gonna convince him that he's something more than a lowly nigger?
Oh, stop.
What's the matter? You colorblind?
I don't know quite how to put it, Dean Baker. It's just, well, it's rather an awkward situation.
Why don't you try coming to the point?
Yes. Well, frankly, I believe that Dr. Cook should be asked to withdraw from the homecoming committee.
Why?
Well, surely you've heard the rumors that are circulating.
I have heard everything. From their planning to run off with the planetarium to their organizing an integrated minstrel show.
Well, I don't want you to think for one moment that I subscribe to any of this gossip, but As chairman of the homecoming committee, I think it's advisable that Dr. Cook withdraw, at least until all of this blows over.
Are you charging him with misconduct?
Well, now, Dean Baker, if you're implying that I'm prejudiced against Cook, why, Lydia and I have had him into our home.
For which I'm sure he'll be eternally grateful.
Well, after all, he is the first Negro to join the faculty.
What do we think of next? The Renaissance?
Dean Baker, I think that all of the good work we've done in race relations is in jeopardy.
Oh, Jackson, come off it. If there's anything makes me wince, it's the institution's concern for the individual. On that premise, we could make out a great case for genocide. Now, look. If Professor Webster and Dr. Cook have been seeing a great deal of each other, I think it's their business. Frankly, I find him arrogant and unreachable. But if people on this campus find seeing them together disturbing, please, don't expect me to convert their private bias into an act of so-called social responsibility.
In 1893, it was Charles Peirce, one of the founders of philosophical pragmatism, who predicted that economics was soon to be shaken out of its complacency. Unlike Newton's physical or Darwin's animal world, economics was not bound by ironclad natural laws. It could be shaped by government and amended by society's needs.
What are you trying to do to me? I was only trying to get an A in your course. But don't you understand? I wanted to hit him.
Bet you didn't hit him.
But the anger was there. The violence that I thought I'd learned to control.
So you discovered that an emotion can color objectivity. You're not entitled to the same privileges as the underprivileged. You judge yourself the same way you judged Ramsey.
I haven't earned the right to judge anybody.
Is your resignation at all connected with Reed Jackson?
I don't know what you mean.
He asked me to urge you to resign from the homecoming committee.
You got it. I won't be around to embarrass anybody.
Dr. Cook, ever since you came to Channing, you've been insufferably arrogant, rude, and contemptuous of what you think we stand for. It's been a struggle for me to conquer my aversion, but I surely thought you had enough integrity to stand up to a pipsqueak like Jackson.
Like all men of goodwill, you're dedicated to absolute purity or absolute honesty, aren't you? But I've got more to lose.
Precisely what?
My individual conscience. My right to be afraid. Cowardly. An opportunist. Maybe just a man.
You're asking for the right to be inconspicuous. Don't you know you gave that up the day you were born?
Because of my race.
No, not because of your race, because of your brain.
Bigotry is composed of 50% fear and 50% ignorant idealism. Do you expect to conquer fear and idealism with only the truth? It's not enough.
Only the truth? What more do you want? Every time you stand up in front of your class, you're addressing the future. You can convert them to infidels, prophets, dolts, creative skeptics. You're a teacher.
I'm not a teacher. What I've stored here, I want to hoard for my own salvation. What I've got here, I'm afraid to pass on for the harm it might do. I've spent a lifetime adjusting to a white man's world. Do you know what that can do to you? You secede from life. Anger can become rebellion, so you suppress it. Love can become uncontrollable, so you avoid it. Hatred can become a disease, so you convert it to ambition. Do you expect heroism from me? I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, too.
heard you were going to Washington.
Mm-hmm.
Big government job for a big thinker, right?
Instead of lecturing to sophomore adults, I can do some real work for a change.
Like writing another scholarly treatise for your learned colleagues?
Since when do I have to account to you?
Since you joined Cripples Anonymous, since the first recorded whine of the original leopard, since you first started pulling slivers of abuse out of your tortured soul to make one big kindling pile of agony and light up the world.
Ah, but I never did I, Amelia? With all the dirty shrapnel that was thrown at me, I never once got cut down, did I, Amelia?
Oh, you're a real hunk of granite, you are. You're the original Statue of Independence in chocolate with standards up to here so you won't have to get close. You're not wearing black. You've got on 6 coats of armor.
You can't get to me, Amelia. Don't try.
What are you trying to tell me? That you're a loner? That you cut your teeth on long-playing records of Edith Sitwell instead of spook jazz? That you're a very special breed of outcast who went to Princeton?
Take it easy, friend. It's because I'm not screaming. Don't think I don't know what it means to be cut up.
Oh, you're lucky, Cookie. You've got that race thing. You want to talk about hard times? I've eaten chitlins and spite ever since I was 16. I sat on the back of that lonesome train before you were old enough to chomp on watermelon.
Don't give me that, Chaz. You're a professional bleeder. Big white mother picking up strays out of the gutter. The only thing you saw in me was what I could do for that kid.
Yes, and that's all it'll ever be.
Don't worry about your boy Ramsey. I'll give him his B.
For what? For what? Economics or that little psychodrama he staged in your class? Oh, you blind, stupid fool. Don't you realize that's the last thing in the world he wanted from you?
What do you want from me? You have to help the helpless because you're helpless yourself. You got that chip of holiness on your shoulder just hoping some fool will knock it off. You got nothing to lose but your loneliness.
And you don't. You still don't know what he was trying to tell you. You're so full of hate and suspicion, you don't recognize love when it's coming right at you.
I can't have an honest emotion. Don't you know that? Nothing real ever happens to me. Don't you know that? I have to invent a new hatred just to keep going.
Why don't you let go, Cookie? Just let go.
Professor Cook? Professor Cook?
Yes?
I came to apologize, sir. I had no right to embarrass you in class.
That's all right, Robbie. You didn't embarrass me.
You were right about the Wainwright. I can't cut it. I can't be someone like you. It's just that Miss Amelia believed in me.
Well, she had a right to, Robbie. You don't think an old bag like Miss Amelia can make a serious mistake in judgment, do you?